What's up, Gold Digger? Kimberly Olson here, back for another episode of Hashtag Get Lit, where we crush your business and set your soul on fire. Today, I have a special treat for you, bringing in one of my business besties, one of my favorite people in the whole world. Her name is Ashley Welch. She's the creator of Sunspice, where she has literally built her entire business brand all herself in her kitchen. She has a shop. She is a mompreneur. She has an online presence. She even has a special place right on Facebook where you can get connected with her, where she does virtual retreats to allow you to really tap into who you are and express that and just really have the confidence to totally crush it and create the life of your dreams. So we're going to talk about that and more in this episode. Stay tuned. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you.
So excited to have you on, and we are streaming this as well. So if you're listening, come along for the ride. If you're watching us, feel free to comment below. So we are going to have a great discussion today because not only have you become a dear friend of mine, but you're also one of those rock star entrepreneurs that just goes for it. And I think that a lot of people here need to hear this message today. So just to start, why don't you share a little bit about yourself as far as, your entrepreneurial journey? You're a lot younger than I am, and I feel like you've lived 12 lives already. I mean, you've done so many different things. You're a mom as well. And I would love for them to hear how you got that little entrepreneurial bug and how you got started with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately for me, and everyone's different, is I think when you face adversities young, you just automatically have to kind of push yourself forward and move through those situations. And I figured out younger how to thrive through, being in the face of darkness and adversity, wherever and whenever it was. And I think through that sort of process, and everyone's on their own journey, right? So they're all going to get hit with it at different times, but mine was hit younger. And, the unfortunate part about that is I missed out on a childhood, but or a lot of childhood-like experiences. But the positives of it were that you just kind of, your boots get dirtier faster.
Quicker.
Yeah, I swear to God, I go through more shoes than I will get a really nice designer pair of shoes, and people will say, I've had these for 6 years. I'm like, I rock those out in 6 months because I just wear everything to the ground. And I think it's just because that's how I move,
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of, when you are scared, when you move into a place of fear, which we always do, we'll move into that place, to literally tell yourself that it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
That fear, you save that for when the tiger's chasing you, which it never will. Save that for when you're scared that you're going to get in a car accident. That's the time to use fear. It's not when you want to pursue your dream. Mm-hmm. You just don't have time for that.
Right.
You'll overanalyze everything. You will talk yourself out of everything. And I've gone through that process, which I think part of it is you don't want to ignore it and pretend like it's not there. You want to see it and be like, oh, wow, I'm scared as hell right now. What am I going to do with that?
Yeah. Just kind of notice it.
Yeah. And we'll sit in with it. And a part of it is the mind will take you in so many different directions when you let it. And if you don't learn to harness it and organize it, which you're the master of, right? And kind of learn to compartmentalize things in a way that allows the freedom for the expansive part of your brain, for the pineal gland, to just kind of run its course and guide you almost. It's just hard. You'll stay in that pure place. And so I learned how to quickly, like you, get organized. And when I'm afraid, feel it, but don't let it define who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Experience that fear and sit in it, and then tell yourself, oh, that's actually not real.
Right. Yeah. False evidence appearing real. Right. And Bob Proctor he calls it the terror barrier. And he's like, I mean, I don't know how old he is now, but he's like, I still feel that, I feel that terror when you start to really think about making it happen, because we get the idea, we get all excited, and then your brain starts, its subconscious is like, but wait, like, you don't know what you're doing, or what will people think? And then we feel that fear. And so he's like, it's the terror barrier. You have to acknowledge it and push through. And then it's funny because if you look back at your life, you were afraid of something, you pushed through, and then it became normal. Like, it's no big deal for me to go live now, when the first time I went, I was terrified. So then you have these new things. So it's just part of life. It's just part of evolving. And, I first met you were super young. We were both, working in corporate America. And I'll never forget my boss at the time, Darren. He was like, I was a training director for a nutrition company. And he was like, okay, I want, let's expand what you're doing. And I want you to find someone on the West Coast like you. And I was like, okay, find someone like me on the West Coast. So I went on LinkedIn. I was running blind, man. Like, I didn't post the job or anything. And I remember I found you and I was like, oh my gosh, she's totally like me. Like, just your work experience and all that stuff. So we had a chance to work together. And one of the things that we had to do, which translates to entrepreneurial world, and this is why a lot of you aren't giving yourself credit for the work experience you have, the life experience, momming, that can translate into becoming an entrepreneur. But you have to be very resourceful to do what we were doing. We would go into cities we'd never been in. We would get in front of people and speak. We were talking to people much older than us, more educated. And you just went in there and you just did it. I mean, do you look back where you're like, how did I even do that?
I know. Well, I think, honestly, I feel like age was on my side, right? Like, I actually feel very lucky that I was so young going into it, because ignorance is bliss.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm getting into. And then you get into it and you're like, holy shit. But totally. I think finding those people, and here's the other thing, when it comes to pursuing your dreams, you can't hang out with the people that are going to tell you, yeah, you're right, you probably shouldn't go do that.
Oh, so true. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, and it will keep you below. Mm-hmm. And the truth is when you choose a path that's higher than the people around you, of course they're going to be like, what are you doing? Because it makes them feel uncomfortable, because they're going to start to question themselves.
Yes.
But it's on them. Like, that's on them. And you have to be able to find those people that are actually above you. They're like, I want to talk to the person that's 6 steps above me. And be like, what the hell are you doing? I want to hang out with you. Like, let's have coffee together. And just that, those, you have to find inspiration, and the process of finding inspiration is to recognize the parts of you that might look at someone in awe or aspiration, or if it's unhealthy, it's envy and jealousy. Mm-hmm. Lean into that and be like, well, what is it about that person that's making me feel that way? And transforming what might be this sort of like, I wish I could be like her, into, oh, I just see that part of her that's in me, and now I need to step my game up.
And tap into that and develop that. Yeah, that is so cool. And you just said something about, like, because I know your whole thing, a big piece of what you do is helping women like us to tap into our inner goddess and learn how to express ourselves, and, that feminine, masculine balance and all pieces of who we are. And a lot of the ladies listening are moms that either have lost themselves or are maybe in corporate America at a job, or chose to stay home with their kids. So they've been momming, right? And they don't have this like other identity. So they either, were in corporate doing that thing, or have been home raising children. So a lot of them want to be entrepreneurs, get that network marketing business going, or maybe coaching, or they have a product or a course. Now, for you, when I watch you, you just go for it. But this is key. I know, like, I've seen you do a couple of things, and I feel like you're really like tapping in, like you just keep evolving. You're a mom with 2 kids. And I see you kind of like finding your thing, but you didn't just figure it out the first time. And no one seems to be giving themselves permission to figure it out. Yeah. Cause me as Fit Kim was my first thing in 2011, and it failed miserably. Like, I would make up things that I thought people wanted, and Scott's aunt would buy it. Like, that was it. Like, I'd get one sale. I created like this whole thing. So, I totally failed. So, I have success now, and people are like, oh, so can you talk a little bit about your first like entrepreneurial venture, what it was? And now you look back going, oh my gosh, like I totally failed forward.
Yeah. So we were moving out of the corporate world, and I had a roommate, and he was starting this startup, and I started debugging his app. He had he was working in Silicon Valley. He was previously worked at Genie and Yammer with like the big dogs, right?
Yeah, totally.
Us of the world. And I was so fascinated by that. I was like, wow, like he had an exit, what?
Right.
So and I didn't know any of this about him really. Actually, he's my roommate, but it was more just like we had a group of we had a group of several single parents kind of living and working together to support raising our kids and yada yada. So I learned more about him and I started helping him out with his app, and then I realized that his app was not very good, and I kind of just told him that. So and then so he was like, okay, well, do you want to do one with me? Because his other co-founder decided he didn't want to be a part of it. And so I was single at the time, and I'm like, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm single. Let's make a dating app. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's make a dating app. But my first experience with taking that leap, I left, I was making $85,000 a year.
Which is awesome.
And I was like, that is my security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so I took a huge risk, and I don't even know what came over me, but I think I had just had some things that had happened in my life. I was a single mom, and so I was going through custody stuff and that nasty sort of, the darkness of that. And I just wanted to be home and close to my son. And I think that was what told me. It was like, I feel like it's all very divine timing. If you listen, it's just like, I'm not meant to be moving out on the road so much and being away from my son he's going through this darkness with me, it was tough. And so given the opportunity, this is the first time I manifested something in a really short time. I wrote in my journal while I was working with a coach, and she said, you just need to get real specific. Like, what do you want? And I was like, well, I want to do this thing. Okay, what do you need? She said, what do you need for the next 3 months to make that a reality? And I said, I need $10,000. It was $15,000. I said, I need $15,000 in my bank account so that I can at least have a little bit of a buffer. And that was not enough.
Right. In California.
But it appeared, someone was like, I totally think you should do that. And it was like, here you go.
Insane.
So it was, you just never know where these little divine, gifts will come from. Mm-hmm. And I had this was not a family member. I didn't have people with money all around me. This was just out of left field, out of the blue. And so that got me started on it. But it turned out that as I moved through it, and as I worked in the Silicon Valley world as a techie with no tech background, by the way, I could debug things, and I could tell you if I thought something looked like shit or if I thought it looked great.
Right. That was it.
I was like, I like that. That's stupid. But it turns out that that's actually a very, very valuable asset.
Right.
And I learned as you get older, you learn, oh, well, I have taste. I have get what looks good in design.
Yes.
It's actually very valuable when you're working in the tech world and in the design world and product world. But I had no idea how to raise money. I went in, I was fortunate enough to get into an incubator. And so I convinced someone, to give us $50,000. And it was just like, it's kind of like a part of it is just not being afraid for people to look at you and say no. Right. And I see it in my son too, where he's like, he doesn't want to tell you what the answer is because he's afraid it would be wrong, and he doesn't. Oh,
Addison's the same way. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, no, be wrong. It's okay.
Right.
You want to be wrong. I want you to be wrong. And then I want to tell you. And I think it's obviously hard with kids because they're like, I just want to be right all the time.
Right.
I don't want to upset anyone.
Yeah.
But learning to move past that and not being afraid to totally fail and mess up. And it was, I don't even know how I convinced people to give me money. The app was, it didn't work. Match. People would match, and then they'd do a live video, and it would crash on them, and then they lose their parts. It was just a mess. But it didn't matter because what I gained is I gained very valuable experiences. I sat in the office of Sequoia Capital. They're the main investor in YouTube and a bunch of other stuff. And I sat there, and they asked me to come in.
It's crazy.
We want you to come in and pitch to us. And then I went back for a second meeting. And at the end of the day, I knew they wanted to invest in us, But what I realized later is they didn't want to invest in my company, and they actually didn't want to invest in my co-founder. They wanted to invest in me. Mm-hmm. They wanted to invest in my sort of like refuse to back down, not be afraid to ask for what I want, even if it's outrageous. Like, I need to raise $7 million, and here's my cap, and and it's just like, I didn't even know what half of it meant, but I knew I was supposed to say that, so that I was, just to play that game,
Yeah. And it's like, it's not knowing all of the things before you went for it. And I saw you, when you came to visit me, you showed me the video of you on stage in front of those people. So is it called raising money for venture capitalism? What's it called when you go on stage and you're like pitching your thing? What was that called?
It was called Launch Incubator. And it's basically you're pitching out to all of these investors.
You walked on that stage, girl, and you were like mid-20s. And I remember my jaw dropped because I was like, wait, is that you? Because you just walked out there and you're like, this is the app and this is what it is. And like, just owned it. But I'm sure you went on there like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. But I think what I've noticed with you, I feel like it is because of your life experience, but you have this very wise soul about you. And I feel like your son does too. But like, you are so good at tapping in to just that inner guidance system that's there. And a lot of my girls, my ladies listening and watching, we have kind of pushed that off to the side and written it off as not important. But what served me, and because people are like, how did you do what you've done? Or what's your business plan? I'm like, there's no freaking business plan. I couldn't tell you what I'm doing next month because I just go by that nudge and that intuition. And it's my guidance system. Like, I'm running blind here, you guys. Like, I have no clue. But once I cleared up the alcohol and all that stuff, like everything cleared for me energetically. So would you say that that's like a huge piece of all of this and what you're learning as you get, older and, different stages of your life? Do you feel like that's a really important piece?
Yeah. And because we all start that way as children, right? Our minds are open, and specifically our pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
It's the third eye. And they'll kind of like say, oh, third eye, yoga.
Right.
Like, no. That's your pineal gland. That's the gland that regulates your sense of time, your aging processes. It guides it controls your ability to reproduce and make babies. And it's this massive, powerful tool. But, you will numb it with alcohol. You will numb it with shitty food. You will numb it with too much fluoride. There are things that will impact it and help it and make it calcify. And that is the scary process of aging. And so I think a part of it was, I held on to it as long as I could. But then when I had kids, it dulled down. I was like drinking whiskey with I'm in postpartum. It's fun, and felt really crappy about myself and doled that very sensitive part of me down because it became really challenging. And that's what we often do is when things get challenging or when we get afraid or we just want to numb it down and we want someone else. And it's a weird thing because what we actually want is we want someone to guide us. We want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
But we think it's, I think often we'll look for the external world.
Absolutely.
Like just tell me what I need to do versus no, like tell me what I need to do.
Oh, absolutely. I have all the time girls are like, okay, what should my brand be? Like, what's my thing? I'm like, I can help you brainstorm and give you some clues, but you have to pick. So then we do it. And then they come back, they're like, can you just tell me what to do? I'm like, no, ma'am, I can't. Because if I do, then that's not it. It's my idea, right? And in order for you to really, really find your zone of genius and, build your tribe and all that, people are attracted to genuine, authentic, real coming from you. And there's no other you, right? And that's the whole thing of like, tapping into the inner goddess, which I know is a big thing that you're doing and growing. And it's in the very beginning stages of becoming a movement. Like we are in a time of awakening. Everyone's talking about it. At the time of this recording, we're, 7 months into the pandemic and everyone kept saying it's going to be awakening. Well, if you think about, like, if you look back at like some of the stuff, like the people controlling the world, the leaders, like they don't want us to be aware. Right. And like, if you think about certain things, like everyone's having, like we just went, we're going to gymnastics today. So when we get there, they take our temperature with the infrared. Where do they put it? Right at your pineal gland. So if you think about some of this, like fluoride, right? Like I do fluoride-free toothpaste just because I know some stuff like you do. Why would they want to introduce all of that en masse into our food supply or into our water? So if you think about some of this stuff, I feel like this is all coming to a head where people are going to be like, you know what? I'm not just going to listen anymore to what other people are saying. I want to know what I have to say. And we can stand out to people as different because we've already kind of done that. So those watching and listening, I'll ask you some questions around that, Ashley, right now, but I want to encourage you guys to kind of like put your fist down and say, all right, like I am sick of just responding and reacting and just going through life like this. Like I want more. And what does that look like for me? So I know you have a Facebook group. What is the title of it? Something Inner Goddess.
Expressing Your Inner Goddess.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes for the podcast and we'll put it in the description of the YouTube. And we're going to stream this on Facebook too. So wherever you are, just look below. Okay.
If people want to actually sign up, they can go to sunspice.co/goddess.
Perfect. Okay, we'll put that on there. All right, we're going to get you guys in there. So I want you guys homework. Number one is go to sunspice.co/goddess, correct? Okay, I'll put that all below for you guys. So you can just look below because I want you guys to stay with us and not leave this. So inside of this Facebook group, you are teaching women what?
So for this series, which there's more to come, but this first one is all about moving into understanding your energetic field, so the chakra system in association with the organs and glands, and how each one has a different role, and figuring out which part of your body is blocked, right? Some of us, we all come into the world and we have our stuff. Some of us are like brilliant with athletic stuff. Others like just totally fail. Some of us come in and they have sickness right away. They have conditions right away that they inherited from their mother. Some of us, for me, I had a trauma to my lower back, so I had a trauma really, really early. And then I had digestive issues and kidney issues, for a really, really long time.
Wow.
It's just like we all have these things that we have to kind of work through and acknowledge. And so inviting this idea of, instead of saying, I have this problem, you say, oh, this area of my body needs some attention and healing. And so we work, and we also call upon the goddesses, because people talk about like, I'm a goddess, but what does that actually mean?
Right.
And understand who they are and what they represent and the history behind goddesses. So we'll go into the Egyptian goddess world probably in our next series. This one is a little bit calmer. We're working with the Hindu goddesses. The goddess Lakshmi of wealth, fertility. Kali, she's the
Amen.
The ego. Durga, she's the goddess of war and protection. It's funny, before I was on with you, I just did my class, and we're all working on the pineal gland and the third eye.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
That's what we're talking about. But it's all about waking up, waking up and understanding that you have your eyes that you'll see with the world, but your third eye sees the truth, and there's a difference.
Oh, I have chills.
And so feeling that, not just the idea of that, but sitting with a group of women and really feeling that and working with things like breath exercises. And, you'll hear if you go to a yoga class, everyone says Om.
Yes.
But why do they say Om? Well, because there's a bone that they vibrate along your nose, and it gets into the pineal gland, and that vibration will activate the pineal gland. That is why you will say Om.
I never knew that.
A lot of people.
And I love it. Like when we do it as a group and we do it over and over again, like it was my favorite part of class. That must be why.
Of course it is. So all I'm doing is moving us back into these historic ways of practicing through life and being guided through life. It's rather arrogant for us to think that we can control everything. Like,
right.
People like to really think we just have it all under wraps. And it's just not how it is. And
right.
You'll see that with the force of nature. Mother Nature comes in and fires up the West Coast.
Yeah.
Comes in with a bunch of storms. Comes in with a plague, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not really a plague. I may alarm. So my goal is to just create an environment for us to be able, as women, to just let it all out, and to support each other in a very vulnerable way and a truthful way, where you can get on that Facebook page and you can cry on my page and write a video and share your deepest, darkest secrets if you want. And it's safe because that's, no one else is going to see it unless
right.
It's only women. And I just think that the longer we're holding on to these negative, stagnant energies in the body, the sicker we're going to get, the more depressed we're going to get. And for women especially, we have a special thing called our womb, where we literally created stuff. And that, we were in our grandmother's womb, which we talked about last week. What a fascinating thing that is. And so we get to harness this feminine energy, which is rooting its earth energy, and really hone into that and own that piece, while at the same time, we open up and expand into a place of light. And I think as women are waking up, doing it intentionally is going to be really important, because the mind will take you in so many different directions.
Right. It can go any which way.
But so the only way to harness the mind is to remind yourself that it's actually not in control. The body is. The body runs the show, right? The mind tries to tell it what to do.
Right.
Body, you can tell the body exactly what it actually needs to do, and part of it is just getting out of the way to just feel rooted to the ground and just let the ego go, so that
it's hard to do.
Let everything work through you.
Do you think that it's been lost over time? Because you're doing a lot of historical, you're bringing stuff back. Because I didn't even, when you were for context, she came to visit last week and she was here in Austin, which was amazing. But we were talking about this before. So do you think that, because you were bringing up these different goddesses, and I'm like, how come I've never heard of them before? So you're bringing up stuff that's been around for a long time. And you're talking about my grandmother and, my mom. Well, there's not any goddessness happening with them. I love them, but they just were carrying on what they got from their parents. Right. So I want to be the change. I want to change my family tree, and I want to teach my girls how to express themselves and love themselves and, all the things that you teach. I want to do that for them. So has it been lost over time, or have we it just kind of died out? Are you bringing it back, or is it just subtle and it's there and a lot of people don't know about it?
I think we could probably theorize on it for a long time. I think, you started seeing the decline after the Egyptian collapse. I think the Hindu culture has really held on to it and done a really good job of holding on to it in many ways, but still, there's more of an idolization of the goddesses.
Yeah.
Embodiment of the goddesses. It's more just like a piece of history for a lot of people. So, I think it's hard when you get a lot of people. There's a lot of people on this planet, and we all have different ideas.
Right.
And I think part of it is just, there's something, I always like to give control to something else. Something else has been working in the woodworks for a while. And I think there's just been darkness that has swept under the rug. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a dark side of women too, right? And you'll see that when in certain characters, politicians who will.
We see it in network marketing. There's some sass, man.
Right. Politicians who will defend their husband, even though they've done horrendous things, they'll defend him. Right. Instead of standing up for truth and justice. Right. And so these behaviors, I think, have just gotten a bit out of control, and they have been accepted.
Absolutely.
I think as masses, as we just accept the reality that is fed to us, the story told to us. Yeah. Hollywood has had a huge impact on that. They're great at manipulating and creating the stories that they want us to believe and accept. Absolutely. Okay. Real. Bad or real. Yeah. And so as this sort of new age is coming about with social media, there's going to be a lot of pushback and sort of turmoil about people wanting to seek the truth, because that's really uncomfortable, because things are coming out that are not so great. And I think as women, it's a lot, because it ruffles our feathers, because it makes us realize that a part of it is just stuff that we've suppressed within ourselves.
Yeah.
Where it actually started from, I can't say I know.
Yeah.
You know, I think anytime there is an imbalance of masculine and femininity, you will always have pain. Will always have some sort of inner war. But that I strongly believe that as people find the balance of the feminine and the masculine and work with those parts of yourself, that's where you'll start to see the change, you know, within your family, which then will move into your community, which then will move into something else. And so I think we've just been out of balance. We've been in a very masculine place.
I think that's the best way to say it, what you just said. Yeah. Out of balance.
And I think, unfortunately, what you're seeing is an extreme response, which is women feeling like they have to act like a man, they have to act like a man, instead of embracing the masculine. And there's such a difference, you know? And part of embracing the masculine is actually standing in your feminine as a woman, acknowledging your womb, acknowledging your ancestry, acknowledging your history. And you know, we did a meditation where I guided my girls to just envision your grandmother and your mother and holding you, and what that would feel like as like a wholeheartedness and forgiving them.
Oh, I need to do that.
For all the pain.
Right.
And recognizing that it is a gift that you and that I are even here. And that despite anything that they did, they gave us the gift of life. And so, and just kind of moving into that place real quick, where it's like, you just let all that other crap go.
Right.
Like that, you know, that's such a huge piece of it. But anyways, I can move in a million different
I love that so much. And even, you know, one of the things that I've grown so much as a person, you know, getting into entrepreneurship, and I lead a team. I have a big team, but I also have, you know, thousands of students that have gone through my programs. But the biggest piece is team. And then working with staff is I'm very direct, but I'm kind. I'm always direct and I'm kind. And it's hard to be direct because it's uncomfortable, but if I can do it in a way that's kind, I always feel good about it. It's always well received. And when you just said that about the masculine and feminine, I'm not trying to I could, you know, pull the power card. I could bully people. I could absolutely do that where my position, but that's leaning into that masculinity and wrongly using it. And you don't feel good with it. And we see it in our industry for sure. We've got a lot of that, going on. And I think us standing up to that and saying, no, that's not okay. Like you can always get your point across or say what you have to say. Like, what do they say? Like in the South, she said her piece, you know, she spoke her piece. Now it's, you know, let's be respectful. And I love that you said that. So to finish our chat together, what are you doing now in your entrepreneurial efforts? We talked about your Facebook group, this community, this safe place for my women. I want them to get in there, and I've had a chance to be a part of it, and I love what's in there, Ashley. I'm so proud of you. And I think the cool thing is you are basically showcasing, this is me showing up to you guys, raw, real, in my full, you know, woman, you know, inner goddess glory. But then it gives us permission to go, I want that. When I see you, I want that. But it's not an envy. It's an aspiration to say, I want to bring more of that out myself. So it's, you guys, you got to get in that group. It's phenomenal. But tell us a little bit about Sunspice, the company itself.
Yeah. So that started 2 years ago. Or a year and a half ago. And it just came from being super unhealthy and really postpartum and drinking a lot. So I was like, well, let's you know, put my big girl pants on and come up with something. So I just started playing around with herbs in my kitchen, and from there created a herbal line of products based around the chakra system, but rooted in science. I mean, you know,
so cool.
Than I. So,
oh yeah, totally.
So each formula has a totally different purpose, and there's 7 products. All will energize you that are not caffeinated. Those products are not caffeinated. And then I have one product that's called Spice, and that is a healthy coffee alternative. A lot of people drink a lot of coffee during the day. I strongly suggest that you at least decrease it to 1 cup if you're drinking more, just because the effect that it has on your adrenal glands, your cortisol levels, which impacts your fertility, your serotonin, your happiness, and your
thyroid,
sleep, all of
hormones.
All of it. So I've created those 8 products with the Sunspice line, and you can order online at sunspice.co/product and learn more about us there.
That's awesome. Yay. Okay, cool. If you guys want to, I've had it, by the way, and it's amazing. It's the nice thing about it is because it's a habit. Coffee's just a habit. We don't even really get anything from it. If you do, is you're probably feeling jittery. So you can replace that habit with something that tastes good. And it's just really neat. I love the concept behind it too. I think that's really special. So if you go to sunspice.co/goddess to get into her Facebook group, you'll also see like a promo code pop up and some information on there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was linked. Okay, cool. Okay, so what I want y'all to do is I want you guys to get in her Facebook group, and she's got virtual retreats that she does within, and I know we're going to do some stuff in person down the road. We're manifesting that as we speak. So you'll see more of Ashley and I together as well. Where else can they find you? Are you hanging out anywhere on social media? Do you have your own podcast?
I do have my own podcast called Sunspice Wisdom, which is on all the major networks, Spotify, iTunes, and all that. And also, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. My IG.
Just all over.
Yeah, just all over at Sunspice Shop.
Very cool. That's awesome. Well, I love just seeing you and your journey. Like, you're just a force to be reckoned with. You're just at the beginning stages of like creating something. I mean, you already have created a beautiful life, but like really changing other people's lives. Like, I feel like you're at a place for yourself where you can really, you figured it out to turn around and give to other women, and honestly, I can't think of a more important time than now in the history of I'm 40 in the history of my life. Like, I can't think of a more important time where women can turn inward, but also turn to each other, to say, I see you, I love you, you're good. And let's work on you finding your voice to express that and feel confident and comfortable in your own body. Like, it's really special what you're doing. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. Well,
yeah.
I have to give you a lot of thanks for getting on my journey.
We are a couple of trailblazers. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you're listening to the podcast, or even if you're watching on YouTube, or we're streaming this on Facebook too, take a screenshot of you watching this and throw it in on Instagram and tag me, the Goal Digger Girl, GOAL, and I'll give you a special shout out. Is it the Spice Shop on Instagram? Are you?
Sunspice Shop.
Sunspice Shop on Instagram. Tag Ashley as well so she can see that, okay? Thank you so much for being on, Ashley. Appreciate you. And y'all, until next time, get lit in your business and set your soul on fire. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.